There's one man that's been a great influence in the lives of us Zimbabweans. A great musician, I think you already know who I'm going to talk about. His name is Oliver Mtukudzi, a legendary musician, a social influencer through the lyrics of his songs. Has written a lot of songs. Don't be proud. That was his message. It's one of these messages, and he talks about many other things, social lives. Mamuramba, Rora, he talks about that. He even sang about his wife. You know, his wife was called, he's still alive, it's called, what's her name? Devi, no. Actually, he calls her in that song, you know, he sings a lot of songs. But one of the songs that he sings is called The Pay of Tender. If you remember it, you know, thank you, that tender. Sorry, that dance. You know, he goes on teaching us, you know, those values. So I would like just to talk about one of those values that he talking about, which means kutenda, thankfulness. Tender. So that's what we're going to be talking about very briefly. I'm sure we're all happy about the rain that we've received in many parts of this country. We're very thankful about that. So, like I said, I'd like to talk about thankfulness. Thankfulness or giving thanks. Something so good and beautiful and yet pretty much lacking in this day and age. Kutenda is very, very good. Just to be thankful. Someone says, hey, what a lovely dress that you're wearing. You don't have to start saying, I think no, just say thank you. That's all. Thank you for that comment. So that's a positive thing. But let's turn to Matthew, 2 Timothy 3, 1-5, just to kick us off. 2 Timothy. I trust in Timothy. 2 Timothy 3, verse 1. Verses 1-5. This is Paul writing to Timothy. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, or really hazardous, dangerous times will come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. People obsessed with themselves. It's also called narcissism, self-love, to the exclusion of others, maybe even at the expense of others. Loving oneself at the expense of others. Shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, yes. We see a lot of that. Boasters, proud. Boasting, I've got money, I've got this, I got power, I can destroy you. And then there are such people. Blasphemers, we see there's lots of that. All these neo-Darwinists, those 4 horsemen that I think I've talked about. When you read their work, it's just full of blasphemy. But there's blasphemy even in the movies. There's blasphemy everywhere. Disobedient to parents. We see that young people fighting their parents, taking them to court, I read a story of one that 40-year-old still at home taking the parents to court to say he wants maintenance, he wants them to in America he wants them to support him and so forth. This is dope. Then he says unthankful. This is what I want to be talking about. But he goes on to say unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, many. Incontinent. Incontinent, that means without self-control, right? Incontinence.
Yeah.
Fierce are the despisers of those that are good. Christians, persecute you and fight you. Traitors, Judas Iscariot type of people. Heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. You see that? Having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. I just thought that might just help us, right? That's the comprehensive summary of the vices gripping our generation in these times of the end. But we notice that being unthankful is listed among those vices of the end time or of this age. So before we start thinking that this is something other people are guilty of, we are Christians, this is a message to you and me. Let us ask ourselves, am I really a thankful person? Am I really a thankful person? Could I possibly be one of the wicked and unthankful people Paul was referring to in his letter to Timothy? So let us look at a few more scriptures about this subject of thankfulness or unthankfulness, which is the inverse or the opposite. Philippians 4:6. What does Philippians 4:6 say? Of course, the book of Philippians is one of those inspirational writings. I think Mr. Yamasoka referred to it. And he came short of reading what I'm going to read about, Psalm 4:6. And he says, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. We come to God and ask for help, for this and that, for protection and other things, but let's start by being thankful. Thank God for life. Thank God for a lot of other things that we take for granted, even the fact that we have eyes to see, ears to hear. That is what we are being asked to do. Let us be thankful. Psalm 92, verse 1. 92, verse 1. We're into Psalms already. 92, verse 1. What does it say? It is a good thing to give thanks to the Lord. It's a good thing to give thanks to the Lord and to sing praises unto your name, O Most High. It's a good thing to give thanks to God. A good thing to give thanks to your wife, your husband. It's easy to take your wife, your husband for granted. Forget to say thank you for the food that they prepare, looking after the children, and all the other things that wives do, and husbands do as well. According to our culture, and I think according to the Bible, to be called a man in our culture, you must show that you can support your wife and children, no matter what it takes. Whatever it takes, you need to be able to show that you can support your wife and children, see them through high school, primary school, high school, college, and teach them values so that they can grow up, go away, look after themselves. If they remember to look after you, fine, well and good, but that's not the point. You're not expecting anything, and yet the Bible says children must honor their parents, must respect their parents, take care of their parents, to thank them for what their parents have done for them. Well, we expect that, but we don't demand it. We want to do it. Like now, I'm retired. I don't have a job as such. I don't know. I have medical aid. I had medical aid supermaster. That's the same medical aid that took care of my late wife. I also spent a lot of my own money. But all in all, by the time she died, that medical aid supermaster had paid a good almost $40,000. Ambulances, blood tests, chemotherapy, medication, whatnot. So they're good medical aids. And I allowed it to, at that time when I was sick, I just said, I don't have money, don't want medical aid. And then the children realized, dangerous. What's this all doing? You know what they did? They got together, the three of them, they formed Maska, arrears, how many 6 months arrears, banded together, paid that up, and then undertook to say, look, don't worry about medical aid, we will take care of that. I don't worry about medical aid. And actually, I was saying, I don't need the church, but they've got those values. I don't worry about medical aid. My medical aid is paid up to the end of to October next year. So if I get medication, which I do every month, I claim, and I get a refund, which is more than my NASA pension most times. My NASA pension, all I know has been $200 Zim dollars. It was used $200, but now it came down to 200, whatever we call it, RPGS. And then they reviewed it. Now it's 331. So it wouldn't really help you that much. I only have a pension from my previous employment because I just used to say, look, get my pension from government. I used it to buy my first car as a human supervisor. And then my pension from PG, I used it to improve the house in Chikanga there, and so forth. And pension from these people I worked for. Last time the Nisco people, the crocodile farm, I used it for other things. So I don't have a pension from all my employment history I was using. And I'm happy that I did that because now I would be receiving it in RTGS. so I don't have that. But I'm not going hungry. I managed to get some food. But the children are being said that you should honor your father and mother. And of course, Viktor Frankl has a lot to talk about, just honoring your parents. Your surviving parent, in this case, in my case, it's one. I know in Chipo's case, also is dead. But we have hope, and those are the things that we are taught. So it is good to give thanks. Romans 1, verse 21. Romans 1, verse 21. That's Paul writing. Romans 1, verse 21. Okay. Because that when they knew God, they glorified Him not as God. These people, we see the creation, heaven's God's glory declares. Everything is, the signature of God is there. You see a signature, you must know there's somebody who signed it. But they did not glorify Him, neither were thankful. So, it is something, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Foolish heart became darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. So we see their foolishness declared and proclaimed on TV in the form of LGBT, whatever, activism, gay pride, animal rights activism. You know, actually, when I went back to where I used to work, I went to visit my former colleagues, executives at Padenga in Karifa when I was visiting the family, and I went there. I was well received. At dinner, they have a lodge, they have what they call executive lodges, and then it's like an area where they cook, employed, it's just, everything is there. So that I had dinner with them, and some of them, others were away. But because I thought I had done a good job there, still some of my work still there, but the mission statement, the vision, the values, I did all those things. The HR manual, the whole thing, I did it. The grading system, there was no grading system when I went there. There was no grading system. I made sure it was there. Patterson systems with broadband grades. So where we simply say, you have the A1, what we call NECD, A1 to be introduced that, taught people to understand what it means. A1 to be the lower level, and then we have the C band. It's all your clerks, your assistants, your buyer, all the artisans are C band. There, and then you have the D band, which is your accountants, and you others, several others. Oh, it's all there. So even when I went there, people were very happy to see me. So some of them just hugging. Oh, sorry, you say, okay, this is nice. But what we've noticed, because of these animal rights activists, they went there. What they do there is that business is a multi-million-dollar export business. They cull as many as 45,000 crocodiles and take the skin. And the skin that they want, it's not the top part. This one, they cut in them like this, and then they want the belly skin, the smooth one. And they sell the skins in salts, in boxes, overseas. Those skins are then taken to tanneries, and they end up Gucci, whatever, But those skins are being sold at an average price of about $350. Right? So try to multiply 350 times 44,000 plus the turnover. So it's a big business, and they are continuously improving. Some of the concepts that we also taught, there was the Japanese Kaizen, Kaikei, continuous improvement. Don't be content with where you are. Look around. It's something that needs to be cleaned up. Continuous improvement. I think you remember my message there about stewardship. But it's there at Padenga. But one of the features that is there now is that there's tight security there now. They've got cameras, these CCTV cameras, and they have security there. We go there. I went there, stopped. I had phoned Brain Sagwire, someone I mentored, that he's doing very well. He's basically running human resources. I worked with him from the time he was maybe just school leaver in African Lumber in Bulawayo. I was working in my office as a fighting clerk in human resources. And he was watching what I was doing, studying and so forth. And when we were transferred to Mutare, he was also transferred at different units. I think he was in sales, whatever. But when I sorry to be talking about myself, when I went over to Kariba, he kept on phoning me on some Mukarati. I want to join you, and eventually I did ask him to come. Him and Innocent Mushunje, his first real job was there. He may not want to recognize it or to be thankful, but actually helped him to be where he is now, Innocent Mushunje. They all started working in my department. And so I then phoned him and said, look, then said, okay, give the phone to the security guard. Because security guard were trying to perform, and so after he talked to Brainias, he changed his attitude altogether. So they take your ID at the gate. But security were running my computer at a company. They were being trained by the company. They are outside security people, but they've been trained by the company just because it's like the banks, they train them. They will scan your ID, take your phone number, everything is on the computer there, then they give you, take which you put there, and then they let you in. So you drove in. A lot of things I was familiar with, but a lot of things have changed. The place looks like, maybe you think you are in Paris. They have a power station, solar power station, which was done after I left. These panels were imported from Germany. They are not like the ones that we see all over there. They are different. You don't even see the lines. So there's the whole farm. They're all at the bottom. There's grass. There's lawn with water. That just waters and they are constantly cleaned. They're generating, I don't know how much, I'm not an electrician, but so many, which they fit onto the national grid. And then they draw that electricity, like when they need it. Their aim is to be self-sufficient in electricity so that they don't have to worry about ZESA bills. I'm just talking about a culture of diligence, continuous improvement. So I saw that. That this Brainy now, he drives a better car than me. Now he drives a better car than me. Although he is not, they didn't put him at the level I was in my executive. He's in deep end, just like all the others. But they've got car schemes there, and he's got a car. He's got his family, his wife and children, all private schools. He bought 2 houses, one in Bulawayo, Marugation, but at least he's done that. And he's one person who is always thankful. Maybe give me the phone there, I'll do something to you that shows that he is someone who is, if I ask him to do something, he does it. In a hurry. This is a comment that I made after visiting him. But I saw things that are not in this way. Even in his office, he's an HR manager, not executive, manager. They are TV monitors there. You can see people walking around. You can find out why. You can see he's watching that. You can see what's happening there. So I said, morning brain, that was the 14th. It was so good to visit Padenga after 8 years. You guys can be proud of the amazing wonder the crocodile farm has become. Literally everything has been transformed since I left. I'm also proud of the success you, Brainy, have achieved in your life and career. Everyone I met spoke well of your abilities in your job. I was truly humbled by the warm reception I received from all the staff I met. I said, please remember to send me the email address of all the my former colleagues in the executive team, also CB's phone number. Keep up the good work and do take care of yourself and your family. Then he replies, says, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for the kind compliments. Right? Thank you. Mm-hmm. I truly owe it all to your hearty mentorship. It was indeed an honor to be visited by you. Then I did ask all the things that I asked him to do, and he said he would like to visit us. He was there at the funeral. Him and other executives who came to the funeral after I left. One of the farm managers, Jimison Kazangarere, was there. Oliver Kamundimu, the finance director, and his wife were there at the funeral. Brainy was there, and messages from the other. This is how we worked with them. When I left, I did not just leave. Like the guy I took over from, he just left. Left everything. It was a proper handover takeover. Nicely drafted. So I'm just giving you an example there of just being thankful and what people can achieve if they have the right values. They have got an amazing work ethic there. Don't play. So that was a bit of an equation. So 2 Thessalonians 1:3. 2 Thessalonians 1:3. 2 Thessalonians 1:3. Verse 3. We are bound to thank God always. Or maybe let me underline it. That was Paul. For you, brethren, as it is meet, in other words, as it is right to thank God. Because that your faith grows exceedingly, and the charity of every one of you all towards each other abounds, increases, continuously increases. Charity, that means love, that means generosity. We received clothing at the feast there. That's the spirit of the church of God. As long as you do your part, surely you will be taken care of. There's no one who's... We saw how we tenuously delivered seed maize and fertilizer D to the brethren there. Not just them, Mr. Pomi also got something, Mr. Onye. Those who are in need, we attended their needs. So he's talking about that. As brethren, we should love one another, show love through being thankful. Thank you, Ndatenda. Sorry, Ndatadza, if you've messed up, in the home, maybe you too, you need to apply that. That's what we applied. I was married for 33 years to my late wife. All of you know her. We were like just best friends. Wherever we went, we were together. Bronte there, I was now part of the Bronte, because my company would send me on various things. I would stay at the Bronte, I would always stay with her. Here, Russell, they know us. She was my best friend right to the end. But that happens not because we didn't fight. We did. She was a strong-willed person. I think you should remember. So I'm also, I think, a strong-willed person also. Some people are Asha, but I don't know. But we managed to have a successful marriage because of thank you, sorry, and also forgiveness, an abundant reservoir of the willingness to just forgive, forget terrible things maybe. So that says we should be thankful. Second Thessalonians 1-3 is what I was reading. Ephesians 1:16. I'm talking about some scriptures there. Ephesians 1:16. Ephesus. Ephesians, there are some of the church that are talked about in the book of Revelation, right? Ephesians 1:16, verse 16 says, cease not to give thanks for you, making mention of you in my prayers. That's what Paul is saying. I haven't stopped giving thanks for you. Giving thanks to who? To God, of course. So he talks about that. And then in Ephesians 5:20, he says, giving thanks always for all things unto God and the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. And then he says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Submission is a virtue. It's not weakness to submit to authority. You don't despise authority. If the king is 18 years old, he is the king. God save our gracious king. He's 18 years old, he's the king. Your boss is your boss. Or he might be a woman. I'll tell you a story about these are values that we were taught. I was a labor officer, having just moved from the Ministry of Justice where I was supporting. And I was, I think, a helpful instrument or tool in the department because of my background from the course in drafting amendments to the Labor Act and so forth and things like that. And generally, also because of my experience and age, I was mentor to many other young people. There were young ladies coming in from the University of Zimbabwe. Unfortunately, some of them are now late, but some are still alive. They would come in from there, their social science degrees and employed as labor officers, and would help them and coach them. There's one particular one called Memory. I can't remember the surname now, but we would go out, visiting various areas as inspectors, labor inspectors, from Bulawayo, go to Kai, Lupane, and we'll be driving. Maybe we used to have two cars in the department, a Mitsubishi Lancer and a brand new Land Rover that I used to keep at my place because I was my boss's driver, Mr. Kutuza. He later died also. He was a good man, but committed suicide. I don't know why. He had a drinking problem, but he really, he really liked me, loved me, I would say. He would speak in Sindebele. So I would take him wherever, Wanke, whatever, drive him, even sometimes we went to Bite Bridge there, and I went together with my wife, incidentally, to Bite Bridge there and met the Minister of Labor then, Nkomo, John Nkomo, and said, who are you? You are from here? And he asked her also, who are you? No, I'm accompanying my husband. Oh, but I'm saying, this young lady, I was even teaching her to drive because she was learning to drive. So she would sit there. Do you drive the Lancer? This is how you do it. When you are meeting Magonyet, take your foot off the accelerator, because all the Gonyet needs to do, if you're going at 120, if they just hit you like this, you just go spinning. Sometimes we don't understand the law of motion. That's why a lot of these drivers, human trucks, are with so I had jackknife when we went to Caribbean. So a lot of these on this roadside jackknife, because they don't understand the physics of motion. That's when you're jumping off a moving bus, if you jump on it like this, you spin and bang. But if you jump out and you're running along, you'll be fine. Even though the bus is not moving at that. But you can go, you know. So understanding those, trying to teach her to, you know, all those rules. Then what happened? She resigned and she had got a job in the National Employment Council for the transport industry. So she was what we called designated agents. In other words, you are a labor officer employed by the council for that industry. And you are paid by that, and usually you travel also, you claim allowances, travel, and so it was better than being a civil servant, if you like. So what happened then? When also I thought I was really fed up, at the point when I was really fed up, I just been ill, seriously ill, and everything. She just said, Mr. Mukarati, ngada here kuya ku NEC to another labor officer. Now she is now the senior designated agent. So I'm going there. She's now my boss, right? So I went there. I had my office there. She had her own office with her executive chair. I just gave her the respect that she's my boss, you know. Not trying to say, no, respecting that authority and being humble. So that gave her a lot of joy, a lot of comfort, you know. But now she's a very successful person. I think she's a human resources officer at the Mimosa mine, you know, this platinum mine not officer, but manager or executive. This platinum mine in Shabani. That's where she is. When I last met her in Kariba, they come there visiting their husband. So what am I saying? Submitting to one another. Wives, submit to your husband. Husband, love your wives. You know, but also there's a time when the husband has to submit to the wife. It cannot always be no. The times when their ideas are superior to yours, submit. You know, with the double responsibility of submitting and loving. Love is more than a feeling. Love is what you do. You know, you hustle, you look after your wife, your children, whatever it takes, whatever job it takes. Now I'm no longer sort of employed. You know what I'm doing now? When I went to Kariba, there I arranged to be able to get my carpenter fish. You know, I got it in the truck, but after that, they will be supplying carpenter, they will be putting it into Swift, and then I repack it in small packets, seal it. The packets are already there with 50 grams, 250 grams, sell it. Maybe double the price. I bought it, each bag, 30 kg bag, $135. And I'm expecting to make an extra $135 from each bag. That's hustling, isn't it, to support your family if they're there. But it's just to say, look, I don't have to just sit and wait to die. No, to do something. So I went to Musana there. There's a friend of mine who teaches there, and I went there and I saw majanja all over the place, buckets like this, they're selling $15 bucket. And I said, look, I'll come and collect. So I've got loads and loads of majanja there, which If I get it for $50, US dollars, but you see how much they sell it for. The thing like this, $10. So I'm going to increase, make an increase. Okay, if I make an increase, I must remember to tithe also on that. But I'm saying that's what love is about. Whatever it takes, whatever job is there, you know. And now, it's the really successful people are not those who are in formal employment. You know, civil servants. Talking about civil servants, I think if he's getting 2,000, it's not much, isn't it? But the one who hustles, can adjust the price. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, then it says we've read Ephesians 5:20. Then the other point that I want to mention is that godly people give thanks. I must find out. Godly people give thanks. Matthew 15:36, Luke 22:19 talks about how Jesus Christ gave thanks. Broke bread and gave thanks. He gave thanks, broke bread. You know, because we had a controversial prophet, Chiwenga. I don't know whether you've heard about him. Chiwenga. The one who was predicting and threw coffins and this and that. He was, of course, later involved in an accident and his wife died in that accident and something else. But he used to predict there's going to be death in this church that was a little. There's going to be death, and people would say, and then you say, when I'm saying there's going to be death, you might say you are already negative. But what if I'm talking about myself? You know, sometimes we have to be careful what we say. Yeah? But one of the things here, the issues with is you don't have to give thanks before food. You don't have to pray for food. Because that's one of his teachings, doctrines. They're crazy. But we see here Jesus Christ. Daniel also, remember when that decree was given, no one to pray. He prayed and gave thanks. Daniel 6:10. So that's what I wanted to talk about. But there are characteristics of unthankfulness, and again it will tie in with what Yamasoko was talking about, the attitudes that are broadcast by the devil that rob us of joy. They diminish joy. And those are the same attitudes that the devil broadcasts in terms of attitudes, feelings, moody. And then he's spoiling everything, he's just poisoning the earth. When people should be happy, someone you know, but those characteristics of unthankfulness, we have seen them. I think you mentioned them. One of them is complaining. That's really being unthankful. Whether it's at the feast, you know, the church has paid for your accommodation and whatever. Then one day you are served beans, you complain. I heard that kind of complaint at the falls. You remember my wife was coordinating with catering and so forth. There was time before the split. And incidentally, some of the complainers were really senior people. They left and went with Coke. But, you know, we had beans served on one of the meals. All the other meals, boarding. Boarding. Come on. So what about all the complaining? That's not being thankful. Should be thankful to that woman for the work that she was putting in to make it possible, not fault finding. Being negative and fault finding, you know. If you want to be negative, it's a choice. It doesn't matter what you get, what you receive. You can always complain, you know. We got we're tired of all this money. Can God also furnish the table with meat. Mana every day. But we're fed up with that. Complaining is not good. So being uncontented. Okay, Philippians 4:11 to 13 there, Paul talks about, yes, and I'm thankful that you've now taken care of me, but I've learned to be contented under every circumstance. I can in one day be dining with kings in their palaces. The next day, I'm in the dungeon as a prisoner. I can take it. That's what Paul was saying. And he says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Selfishness, an unthankful attitude. Always think about yourself. Even when you are parking, there are those lines there, and you park like this. You're not thinking about the other people who need to park there, or you park in front of the gate. You block the gate. Like here, I was hooting somebody there. I almost got angry because to get into the inside there is that entrance. There's the Trinity Pharmacy. There's this point there. There's a lot of parking. Someone just parked there and blocked the way to. So I had to hoot at him, and I was actually showing the fist or something. I'm kidding. But that's an unthoughtful person. It's thoughtlessness. Those are some of the characteristics of unthankful. So I'll just end there and say, I'd like to end up by thanking you for being faithful, for being strong, courageous Christians. God will use you in the future. Don't know how much longer it needs church to be going on, but the church must go on. Even if the founders, the women leaders, retire or they whatever happened, maybe they die, you are the people who should continue. Don't be afraid to take on those responsibilities to lead and to refuse to just follow the crowd. So I hope that's been helpful, and I'll check my lecture material. Those are my lecturers.